Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and I bring you guys my Sword Soul deck profile for Post-Power the Elements 2022. This deck didn't receive any new support. If anything, it got worse after Power the Elements because all the new decks that kind of power creep Sword Soul. But I still feel like I'm happy because it dropped the prices of the Sword Soul card, which we'll get into, to the point that I could buy them. So I finally have a full Sword Soul deck, which is really nice. And let's just get into it. This is a competitive Sword Soul deck, so all the ratios should be good. First things first, we play 3 long one. This guy's amazing. Basically, discard another worm in your hand, special summon it, and then when it's used as synchro material, then it summons a token. If you don't know Sword Souls, all their tokens are the tuners, and this is a synchro based deck. So the idea with him is that he's a level 6. He's special summoned by discarding a worm, special summon him, and then you can synchro to a 10, which would be Baron. We do not own a Baron, so instead we're just going to Sinister Dude, evil Long Yin over here. But Long Yin is still a really good card, so ultimately I think it's still fine. Next we play 3 Sword Soul Moi. Oh, I also forgot to mention, when he's using single material, he burns for 1200, which is nice, so he went in time, which is annoying. At least he used to be, but on this deck is eh. Next we play 3 Moi. Moi is Sword Soul. Now this card also used to be very expensive, but luckily it dropped down in price. I think I picked mine up for like 15 each, which was a pretty good deal. Basically what this card does is that when this card is normal special summoned, you can reveal a worm or Sword Soul card in hand, and then you special summon a level 4 or lower token. And when this card is used as single material, I believe you draw 1, which is nice. Yeah, I think you draw 1, and then the synchro allows you to add, because it's engaged when it makes the synchro 8, which is really nice. Next we play 2 Taya. This one's the least of the good ones, but you definitely still play it as a 2 of. Taya has the effect that when this card is normal special summon, you can send, well not send, when you this card is normal special summon, you can banish a worm or Sword Soul card in your grave in order to then create a token level 4. It's the worst of the 3 because you get a banish from grave. But when it's used as secret material, I believe you get to send a card from your deck to grave, which is nice. It's foolishes. And finally, for its Sword Souls, we have, well, the Honorary Sword Soul, which luckily just dropped down in price. Invincible Ecclesia the Virtuous. For a while, I had this deck without her, and it did not feel right because she is definitely mandatory. What she does is basically when she's normal or special, you can special summon her if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, or you control no monsters, which is really nice. And basically her effect is that you can banish her to then special summon basically Moi or Tai out from deck. She's also a tuner, so that helps you with all these guys. So if they imperm you to stop you from going to tuners, and you have her and like a Moi on field, you can still go into a Synchro 8, which is really nice, or Synchro 12. It's just a really strong card. It's definitely 3 of. You can't play the deck without it, to be honest. Now we go on to our Tengyis, which I'm so glad these cards had their day in the sun in the meta, and I'm glad they're leaving it. We played 3 Asura Tenyi Spirit. This card's amazing. Basically, it has the effect when this card, if you control a normal monster or control no monsters, you can special summon this card onto the field. And then when it's in grave, you can banish it to special summon a Tenyi from the deck, I believe. If I remember the exact effect right here. You can banish this card from your graveyard. It locks you into worms, which sucks, but it's okay. And you special summon 1 Tenyi monster from the deck. So yeah, it special summons the Tenyi. It doesn't special summon a worm. It would be broken if it did, but special summoning another Tenyi is really good because we also play 3 Vishuddha. Vishuddha is an amazing monster. Basically what Vishuddha does is the same effect that all the Tenyis do. If you control a normal monster or you control no cards, no monsters, you can special summon this card from the hand, and then when this card's in your hand or in grave, they also have the hand effect as well. They all share the same thing. You can banish this card, and you send 1 card your opponent controls back to deck. Or hand. I gotta remember this. Is he compulse? Return the hand, so he's compulse. And that's pretty great. It's just a really good removal card. It helps you go into your links, and it's very good bait. Not to mention that it's level 7, which comes up. Next we play 3 Aurora, which I do have mixed matching rarities. I'm sorry. This is my original, and I got 2 of these. I need a 3rd one. And Aurora has the same effects as all the other ones, but basically when you need Banish, you get to add a banished Sword Soul from your, or not Sword Soul, a banished Tenyi from your grave back to hand, which is nice, because they banish his costs. So this is how you recycle them, which is nice. This deck is also just really good because it's a level 1. So in bad scenarios can help you go into Synchro 8s, which is really, really nice. Now we go on to our hand traps. Now I just have a standard hand trap lineup. I have 3 Ghost Ogre and 3 Veiler. Now, in this format, I would definitely trade in those Ghost Ogres for Ashes. And I'd definitely trade out those Veilers for, honestly, DD Crows. I feel like those are just much stronger in this format. But I've had these in the deck for a while. They came up a lot, so I didn't feel right. It was right to chain them out. I know more Sword Soul decks play like 12 hand traps at this point. I'm good with 6. I really don't want to brick on these. Sword Soul really needs to see one of the worms, and if your hand's clogged up on hand traps, it doesn't really help. But it's still good cards. Definitely choose your hand trap lineup that better suits you. I just personally like Veiler, Ghost Ogre. And now we go into spells and traps. So first things first, we play 3 Sword Soul Emergence. This card is amazing. Basically what this card does is that basically you can add 1 Sword Soul monster from your deck to your hand, or if you control a single monster, add a worm. You can only use this effect once per turn, and also it has the effect where you can banish it in grave to increase or decrease the level of a monster you control to the end of turn, which comes up a lot. This card is a really, really strong card. It's basically your Rhoda for your entire archetype, which is really, really strong. And yeah, I do think we should be playing 1 of the Monster Reborns. I think we should be playing 1 Dragon Seal, 1 Vessel, and 3 Cycle. I think 2 or 3 Cycle. I don't think Cycle's in this list, sadly. I couldn't find any when I was making the list. So imagine this being these 2 right here. Just imagine them being 1 Vessel, 1 Cycle, and 1 of the Sword Soul Reborn. I'll explain what each one of these do. Right now I just have 3 Vessel, but I'll explain what the 2 cards are supposed to do. So Vessel basically does is that you can send a worm to grave in order to basically add to hand. It doesn't add to hand, it just sends the grave. It's like foolish. Yeah, send 1 worm monster from your deck to graveyard. Then if you control a non-effect monster from your deck to hand, you add a Tenyi. So that's what he does, which is really, really strong. There was versions of this deck where, at least when it was early testing, you used to play Mirror. You don't play it anymore, Mirror. And you did a whole bunch of Mirror combos. But that was more in Tenyi than Sword Soul. This one's supposed to be the Sword Soul Reborn. Basically, you target a worm in grave, reborn it. It's a really, really strong card. I mean, I believe it has the same effect as all of them, where you can banish it to increase or decrease the level of a Sword Soul or worm you control, which is really, really good. And then this, it's just supposed to be Cycle. Cycle says you contribute 1 worm you control, quick effect, and then add a worm with different name to your deck to your hand, which is nice. Honestly, I might even play 2 Cycle, 1 Reborn, and take out the Vessels entirely. But I think 3 is fine. Next, we play 1 Desires, 1 Call By, 1 Foolish, and 1 Reborn. I think these are just really, really strong cards for this format, and I think they're just really, really good overall. And now finally we'll go into the trap cards, which there's only 3, so it ain't that big of a deal. Finally, we play 3 Impermanence as our final hand trap, and our 1 Sword Soul Blackout. I think this rounds up the spells and traps quite well. In total, we play 9 hand traps, around 12 to 15 starters, and 1 blackout, and a couple of extenders, which is really, really nice. I think this deck's really, really strong, and now it's time to go into the extra deck. Oh, and how could I forget? This negates a monster your opponent controls, and blackout's stupid. Basically, you tribute a worm in order to destroy 2 cards your opponent controls, non-targeting. It's really, really strong. This card is the reason why Sword Soul was meta for a very long time. And yeah, blackout, very powerful card, searchable, really, really strong. It also has the effect where it can modulate levels when you banish it, which is fine. And yeah, that is it. I know this does not modulate levels. It creates a token when it's banished. My apologies. I'm mixing up the, I think they all do the same thing, but it doesn't. The trap does the, creates a token. And that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Now it's time for the extra deck. Alright, now it's time for the moment of truth, the extra deck. Now, my extra deck isn't perfect. I do not have a Baron. Instead, I'm playing 2 Evil Lon to compensate. But I think this card's still amazing, and you'll get to know why if you never actually read this card. Because this card is amazing. But the reason why I really like Sword Soul is because it made Worm decks good again. I know Virtual World's half Worm, but for the longest time, Worms weren't doing anything. Ever since True Dracos got hit, they weren't doing anything in the meta for like a couple years. And it was kind of sad. It was like 2018 since True Draco was meta. And Sword Soul came out, I want to say came out like, I know what set it came out. I think it was 2020 it came out. So it was a whole like 2 years since Worms are even in the meta. So I'm happy they finally got their time in the sun. They're a really, really strong deck. Now it's 2022, and there's still a Rogue 2 deck, which is crazy. Not to mention, if you just go against the right matchup, it's just an auto win. And let's go into it. First things first, we play 2 Evil Lonyan. Evil Lonyan is a really, really powerful monster. Basically, it must be synchro summoned with a non-worm tuner and a tuner. And what this guy does is that basically every time your opponent activates an effect, you can quick effect banish that card for each type. So they activate a spell effect, you can banish it. And you activate a monster effect, you can banish it. And they activate a trap effect, you banish it. And it's once per turn for every type, which is amazing. So you're going against, let's say, Sky Striker player. They activate Engage, you banish the Engage. They try to activate Ray, you banish Ray. It's just a really, really strong card. And it's oppressive, honestly. This card can really beat your matchups by itself. And that's not counting the blackout you have set and not counting the other synchros you control. It's a really, really strong card. Also, it burns. Every time it banishes something, it burns you for 1200, which is just nuts. So another card that helps in time. This card is very unfair, and I'm glad it's locked in Worms, because if any deck can make this deck would be seeing, this card would be seeing so much play. This card's amazing. Next we play 1 Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Chainming. My apologies, I mispronounced it. This guy is the most average out of all the Sword Soul synchros. Basically, he gains attack for every banished card, attack and defense. For every banished card times, I believe, 100? No, it's 200. Is it 100? No, it is 100. I was right the first time. And basically, he gets really, really big. And he also has effect once per turn during either player's turn. When a card is banished, he's a quick effect, I believe, banish from grave and from grave and on field, which is really, really cool. It's a very strong card, but he's a 10. So would you rather be making him or Evil Longyun or Baron? Exactly. He's an average card, but he's still pretty decent, and that's why he's a 1-of. Next we play Chao Feng, the Phantom of the Yang Xing. This card used to be part of a lot of combos, but it isn't really as good anymore. If I remember him correctly, he locks you into he locks light effects basically, or he lights what effect was made with him. So basically, when this card is single summon on the field, your opponent can't activate card effects of the monster with the original attribute as Long Yang, which is a light. And then if this card is used as a single material, when the card is single summon is destroyed by battle, a card effect is at the graveyard, you can add 1 tuner monster from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, when your opponent activates opponent controls is destroyed by battle card effect, special 1 worm from deck. It's a really, really house of a card. It definitely hurts light decks because he's already a light. So in good matchups we like punks because like Foxy Tune and like things like that. But overall it's an average card. I think it's strong, but it's definitely not calling Aqua, which kind of sucks. Or calling Thunder. Next we play 1 Draco Berserker, the Tenyi. This guy's a house. Any deck that can make Synchro 8s is playing this dude. Basically, what he does is that he's a quick effect banish where your opponent activates a monster effect, which is nice. And then also he has the effect when this card destroys a monster by battle, it gains its attack, and then it can attack again, which is stupid. It's a really, really strong card. It's a once per turn banish, which is nuts. During either player's turn, by the way. So it's just a really, really strong monster. Next we play 1 Crimson Blader. It's just really good this format. It's good against Sword Soul, good against tier elements. This is a really, really strong card. The only bad matchup is Splight, but you do this against a Flunder player, not going to be able to play, which is nice. And it's just a really, really strong card overall. Basically what it does is when it attacks a monster and destroys it by battle into the graveyard, your opponent's locked out of level 5 or higher for the remainder of their turn and your turn, which is nice. Next, we play one Adamantipated Rizite. We do have a water in Moi, so it's just a spell and trap negate. It's just a really, really strong card. And it's a 3,000 attack. It's just really, really good for a Synchro 8. And it's a nice flex spot. Next, we play two Sword Soul Grandmaster, T-Shao. This guy's amazing. His quick effect, negate of a monster. Basically, you banish a card on field, which can trigger Supreme over here. But basically, you banish a card in your grave to then negate a card your opponent controls. And also, when it's Synchro Summon, you get to add, which is how you add Blackout, which is just really, really strong. And just an overall great card in general. 2,800 is nothing to scoff at. Next, we play two Baxia. This guy is amazing. When he's Synchro Summon, you get to bounce a card, which is really nice. And he also has the effect where basically once per turn you can target one monster you control and one level 4 in your graveyard, destroy this card, and special summon a level 4, which is really, really strong. I've seen some lists even put this card to 3 because it's that really good, but I think 2 of it's fine. And then finally we play one Yang Zing, Evil Yang Zing. This guy's amazing. When this card is Synchro Summon, it can't be targeted with card effects, which is nice. Or destroyed by card effects. I gotta remember this guy again. Can't target his card on the field with card effects. Yep, I was right on that. And then he can destroy himself or another Yang Zing, which is always going to be himself, to then destroy a card on the field. And when this card is destroyed, you can special summon one worm monster from your deck in defense position, which is really, really strong. It helps you go into combos, helps you extend further, helps you break boards. Really, really strong card. And finally, play one Shaman and two Monk. Monks are normal monsters you use with the Tenyis. That could have to keep extending with the Tenyis, which is really, really strong. And then Shaman has the effect where you can discard one card, special summon a worm from your grave, which is really, really strong. And I believe it has also a floating effect. Let me remember Shaman. Shaman says your opponent can activate effects of monsters special summon from the extra deck, except Tenyi monsters. When this card attack is declared involving a face-up non-effect monster, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So that effect does come up. It just has an effect where they target a monk and this guy's on field, you can just destroy it, which is really, really nice. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed the extra deck. Y'all take care now. Don't do anything stupid. Bye-bye.